Nick here with tinywoodstove.com, and today I'm going to show you all you need to know about stove door maintenance. When it comes to door maintenance, there's several items that need your attention occasionally. Number one, door handle. Number two, your door glass. And number three, your door gasket and your window gasket. So how do you know if you need to adjust your door handle? Well, you can pull out a crisp $1 bill. And basically, if you slide this in the door gasket and shut the door, and you can easily remove the dollar, you need to tighten your door handle. That process is pretty simple. Stock doors come with the, you have a lock washer, and then you have a jam nut. And you first kind of tighten that to where it's snug. You don't want it too tight. You want to still be able to move the handle at this point, because when we put this cam lever on there and then the last jam nut, it's going to tighten it a little bit more. I like to hold up the jam nut and then cinch it down. It's nice and tight there, and then we get a nice seal. So we take our Washington there and we're pulling, and the dollar is quite firm in there. I can pull it out, but it's airtight. So that's how you adjust your door handle. So number two, your door glass. Sometimes you may accidentally hit the glass and it breaks. Sometimes if it heats up too quickly or cools too rapidly, it can crack. If you spray water on it when it's hot, it's going to crack. So if you break the stove glass, obviously you need to replace it. So the glass hardware includes a little clip. It has a piece of hardware that holds it into the door, and then there's a little piece of refractory fiber insulation that gives it kind of a buffer between the clip and the glass so you don't chip the glass. So occasionally you might need to cinch the little retainer clips down to make sure that that glass is seated firmly against the gasket so it's airtight. So number three, your stove gasket. So what do you do if you have tightened your handle already as far as you can and it is still loose? You've done the dollar bill test or the paper test and there's a definite gap. Well, as you use the stove, this gasket can compress and it can heat up, and sometimes it can become kind of hard. And so at that point, it may need to be replaced. Sometimes it also needs to be replaced if it's starting to fall out and get stretched out or kind of fray a bunch. Sometimes if it's just the gasket cement that's behind the gasket, it sometimes can become brittle and come loose. So if you just have part of the gasket that's coming loose, you can just use some stove cement to secure that back in place. You don't necessarily need to replace the whole thing if you're getting a good seal. If you're not getting a good seal with the handle properly adjusted, then you need to replace the gasket. So steps to replace the gasket. You need to obviously remove the gasket. So after you have pulled out the gasket, there will be some gasket cement or some kind of sealant in there, and you want to clean all of that out. So that can be done with some type of blunt instrument like a flathead screwdriver. You could also take a little bit of light grit sandpaper and just kind of rough up that little groove to get all those little pieces out. It doesn't need to be absolutely spotless, but you want to get the big chunks out so it doesn't compromise that new seal. So once you have removed the old gasket, removed all the old gasket cement, you're going to want to take out your new gasket and just do a dry fit. The gasket can stretch out, and it can also be stacked up. So you kind of want this happy medium of stacking it up enough so that there's some material there that it can really compress nicely, but you don't want to stack it up too much where you run out of material. Okay, if I stack it up like this, I'm going to have plenty of material. There is some extra included, so you should be fine, but you just want to make sure before getting it all gummed up with gasket cement and all that. Next step, you're going to take a wet cloth and you're going to wet the inside groove of the door where the gasket is going to lay. The gasket cement requires a wet surface to properly bond. Next, you're going to take your tube of gasket cement and you're going to massage it, and then you're going to put a small bead in the groove. You're going to lay your gasket starting bottom right and then going around clockwise. On the bag, there is this heat-safe tape. It's for wrapping around the fiberglass gasket. So after you are done, you can cut it and then smush it into the gasket cement so that that gasket doesn't fray and come undone. So if you need to replace your door gasket, you can get our door gasket replacement kit. Inside this kit, we have gasket cement, the gasket, and then we have some extra hardware. Now this hardware is a thinner jam nut that comes stock with your stove, and then included is 3 washers. We swapped this out to give you more options on door cam distance. If you're replacing the window gasket, it's the same process. It's just a different gasket material, so it's a separate kit. The kit has the thinner gasket rope and then cement to go with that. So that's all for stove maintenance for today. If you're looking for a quick and easy way to clean your stove glass without any tools or little scrub pads or cleaners, check out the video right here. Otherwise, we'll catch you next time. Thanks for watching. Shoot. The glass is about to pop out. Grab my screwdriver.